The biggest mistake I made when I was younger was thinking that I was lazy. No, I had ADHD, but despite having a neurodevelopmental disorder, as soon as I implemented these 6 steps, not only was I able to graduate medical school and get my dream job as a doctor in London, no, I did it all whilst growing a 6-figure business. These are all the productivity strategies that have been my backbone for everything I have done to succeed whilst having ADHD. Timestamped as always if you would like to skip. So hello to those of you that are diagnosed with ADHD, maybe trying to get diagnosed with ADHD, or simply a little bit suspicious that you could be neurospicy. This rut that you're in right now does not need to last forever, and I'm going to do everything in my power to grab you by your hands and yank you out of it. Section 1. Turning ADHD into your secret weapon. This is going to be the most controversial section, and for good reason. Your ADHD is not glamorous. You're at a high risk of developing mental health conditions if you haven't experienced that already. You've probably made a fair few impulsive decisions in your time. Some of them may have ruined your life, and you probably feel like you're lazy or you're wasting your potential. And I know this because I've experienced every single one of those things. And honestly, it wasn't until about a year or 2 ago that I finally managed to get to grips and not only tame my ADHD brain, but master all the things that make it unique and could even set you apart from everyone else. So what are the research-backed strengths to having ADHD? Yes, I said research-backed. Number 1, hyperfocus. If you've ever experienced a sudden surge to declutter everything or rearrange your entire room when you have an essay due the next day, you may have experienced ADHD hyperfocus. ADHD hyperfocus is this intense state of concentration and absorption that people with ADHD may experience. During hyperfocus, you may become completely engrossed in a task or activity, which is wonderful. However, it is often to the exclusion of everything else that's important. Ignoring your responsibilities is not good. However, your ability to intensely focus is the ultimate productivity secret weapon when used correctly. Number 2, your creativity. Research indicates that adults with ADHD may be better equipped to perform highly in creative roles compared to non-ADHD peers. Number 3, your adaptability. Now, I mentioned some of the negatives associated with ADHD at the beginning of this section, but those negatives often mean that we have to develop strategies to manage the everyday struggles of daily life that others simply don't have to deal with. But how can you leverage these unique strengths without letting the negatives overpower them? So first, you need to understand how to harness hyperfocus. And to understand how to harness hyperfocus, you need to understand my friend, flow state. I basically talk about flow state in every single one of my videos, and there is a reason for that. Flow state happens when you've been working on a task for about 15 to 20 minutes without any distractions, and you become so fully immersed, it might even start to become enjoyable. The key there, of course, is making sure you have no distractions, which is virtually impossible with your dopamine-seeking ADHD brain. You already know that your phone is your worst enemy if you have ADHD. It's like a dopamine machine. So if you're hoping to get anything done, I suggest you do at least one of the following. Put your phone on silent, kind of the most basic option. Number 2, personalised do not disturb modes. I have a do not disturb mode on my phone that goes on automatically between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. I call this my digital fast. And then I also have an automatic do not disturb that goes on automatically when I arrive at work at 9 a.m. in the building where I work. This way I don't even have to motivate myself or remind myself to remove distractions. My phone does it for me. And finally, get to know Forest. If you don't have Forest downloaded already, this is an app on your phone where you set a timer for how long you want to stay off your phone for, and during that time it grows an imaginary tree. If you go on your phone, the imaginary tree dies, and I'm sure you're thinking, Faye, why do I care about an imaginary tree? I have no idea, but trust me, it works. Next way you're going to leverage your ADHD brain is seeking out creative roles. This does not mean you need to be the next Pablo Picasso. For years, I thought that I wasn't a creative person because I was rubbish at art. But creativity is so much more than that. It's about being able to think outside the box and problem solve, whether that's in business, scientific research, or marketing, or whatever else interests you. Use your naturally creative brain to your advantage. And the last way you're going to leverage your ADHD brain is by using your problem solving skills to find the most efficient path to achieving your goals. My inherent ADHD trait of struggling to sit still and getting bored really easily is actually the reason that I was able to do well in my exams at medical school and get my dream job as a doctor in London, because I hated reading to study. Thus, I needed to find a method of studying that got me the same results in half the time. And it was my neurodevelopmental disorder that led me there. People with ADHD like shortcuts. That's often why we got in trouble when we were at school. But in adult life, it often means that we innovate and we achieve our goals in half the time as everyone else. If you want to see my full study routine that I used in medical school, I will leave the link down below so that you can watch after this one. Section 2, the routine paradox. Structured chaos for success. Your ADHD brain might hate the idea of a mundane routine, but I promise you it's what you need. Studies have shown that adults with ADHD who implemented structured routines into their lives reported significant improvements in time management, organisation, and overall quality of life. Routines provide external structure and predictability, which can compensate for internal regulatory challenges faced by people with ADHD. Leveraging technology can be particularly helpful in creating and maintaining consistent routines in people with ADHD. If you're currently struggling to stay organised and focused, a tool that I recently discovered that has been a lifesaver is Xtiles. It's not just another productivity app, it's a fresh, visually appealing workspace designed specifically for those with ADHD and creative minds. What sets Xtiles apart is its flexibility and ease of use. It's a bit like having a digital bullet journal, but so much more powerful. You start with a simple page and can quickly transform it into an organised workspace. The drag and drop interface makes it incredibly intuitive, and you can choose from a variety of templates that work like building blocks for your ideas. One of my favourite features of Xtiles is how it helps you organise information. You can create collections that connect different pages, making it easy to keep track of related tasks and projects. And when it comes to being productive and getting things done, Xtiles has you covered with inbuilt calendars, task managers, and of course a mobile-friendly note system. What I love most about Xtiles is how it empowers your creativity whilst taking care of all the nitty-gritty details. And it's not just about organising, it's about thinking in a completely different way. You can freely brainstorm and ideate, knowing Xtiles will help you transform those ideas into actionable tasks. And here's the best part, Xtiles is designed to help you achieve work-life balance. You can manage both your work projects and personal productivity in one app. Say goodbye to multiple apps and say hello to a more organised and streamlined life. If you've tried other productivity tools like Notion but found it a little bit overwhelming, Xtiles may be the perfect solution. It's built on proven productivity principles like Para, but presented in a much more accessible way. If you're ready to revolutionise your productivity, click the link in my description to try Xtiles completely for free. Trust me, your ADHD brain will thank you. Routines just make life easier. When tasks become routine, they require less cognitive effort, aka brain power, freeing up space in your brain for other activities. But there is a huge challenge I see time and time again when it comes to implementing routines if you have ADHD. Guilt. Let me explain. While structure in routines is important, research also highlights the importance of flexibility in the routines. Routines should allow for the spontaneity and variability associated with ADHD. And as I discuss in my How to Build a Routine and Stay Consistent video that I will link down below, the key to any good routine is to accept that one day it will fail. You'll have a loved one's birthday and you won't work out, or you'll go travelling and get back and your flat will be a mess, or you'll get sick and you'll lose your daily gratitude habit. And I bet when any of that happens, you beat yourself up. That ends today, because you do not deserve your guilt to be holding you back from living a happier, healthier, more productive life because you missed a couple days and you can't recognize actually the huge success that it was to build up that routine in the first place. And for you to rebuild your routine that took you so long to get right will be so much quicker to build up again than the first time round. Section 3, time wrangling, taming the ADHD clock. If you have no concept of time, you're constantly late to everything, even when you set all your clocks 15 minutes forward, then you may have experienced something called time blindness. Time blindness in ADHD refers to difficulties accurately perceiving and managing time. People with ADHD often struggle to estimate how long tasks will take, lose track of time easily, and struggle to plan ahead. This can lead to chronic lateness, missed deadlines, poor time management, procrastination, and low productivity. But what does the research say about evidence-based time management techniques for people with ADHD? Number 1, time tracking. This is using apps or journals to log how much time a task actually takes. For example, I used to never actually know how long it would take me to edit a video because I would get so deep into a hyperfocus. I wouldn't really pay much attention to when I started or when I finished, which made it so much more difficult when I had a video that I had to upload by 6 p.m. because I didn't know how much time to allocate to get it done. And even worse, often I would think that I would still be able to get it up if I started at 5 p.m. Now, in my experience, time tracking can interrupt hyperfocus, which is why I love to use intuitive digital trackers like Toggle Track that actually syncs with your Google Calendar. Or if I'm using Forest, I tend to add a little tag to the timer, which basically indicates what area of my life it is for. When I was in medical school, whether it was for studying or YouTube stuff or life admin. Number 2, using timers and alarms can be really helpful for some people in helping them stay on track and transitioning to new tasks. Personally, this isn't my favourite because I like to get into a hyper-focused state, and if an alarm goes off in the middle of my hyper-focus, that might break it. However, I do always do this if I have to be somewhere and I can't be late. So I'll do a timer 5 minutes before I have to leave, 10 minutes before I have to leave, 15 minutes before I have to leave, and probably also half an hour before I have to leave to make sure that I do not lose track of time. It could also be useful if you have the classic dilemma of having an appointment at 2 p.m. and being so scared to do anything before that time because you're worried you'll get distracted and miss the appointment. Because if you've got some timers and alarms going, it might give you that security to allow you to get into a productive state before having something to do later on in the day. Number 3, time blocking. This is literally just scheduling in slots of time for different activities to provide structure. Now, the key with this is you need to know how long each task will take, which is where digital aids like Toggle Tracker can come in. And when you have a rough idea of how long a task takes, you could then pop it in an Xtiles page so you have a clear place to look to see how long each of your most commonly performed tasks take. Number 4, the Pomodoro method. Personally, I never loved this because I felt like it interrupted hyperfocus. However, so many people find it really useful, so I thought it was worth a mention. But it's basically working in focused 25-minute blocks and then having a short break in between. 5, having visual schedules and calendars. I use a life domain method that I detail in my How I Make Time for Everything strategies for time management video that I will link down below. 6, making sure that you're using prioritization methods to ensure that you're staying focused and not reorganizing your wardrobe when you have an essay due the next day. A framework that's really helpful for this is the Eisenhower matrix that I will put on screen now. Basically, you group tasks into 4 different quadrants. So urgent and important, this is what you need to get done straight away. not urgent but important, not urgent and not important, and urgent but not important. 7, it's really important to build in buffer time into your day. This is allowing extra time to account for transitions and unexpected delays. It can also allow for any extra time you spent hyper-focusing because you felt in the zone and you didn't want to stop. So when you're planning your day, you could either add on 10 to 20 minutes at the end of each slot free, or leave 1 or 2 hours at the end of the day to catch up on anything. Number 8, I've said it before, I'll say it again, you need to get yourself into a consistent daily routine. Not only is this going to reduce decision fatigue, but it's also going to improve time perception, because if you do the same tasks every single day, you're going to have a much better idea of how long each takes. Section 4, environment engineering, designing your productivity paradise. Your brain is a dopamine and distraction craving machine. You sit by a window and suddenly you're daydreaming about a business idea or having a conversation with someone. You see a message pop up on your phone and you go to check it, and before you know it,
it's 4 hours later and the entire time you've been scrolling down your TikTok feed.
You say you're going to take a break and make a snack,
but the next thing you know, you've meal prepped for the entire week and deep cleaned your kitchen instead of writing your report that is due
tomorrow. Never has your environment been more important than if you have ADHD. Research shows that distracting and disorganized environments can exacerbate inattention and impulsivity in individuals with ADHD. Conversely, well-structured and supportive environments can help manage symptoms and improve productivity. So, to optimize work and study spaces for ADHD, number 1, you're going to create a distraction-free environment. Declutter your desk, earplugs, do not disturb mode on your phone, and you are good to go. It's also very important to create designated spaces for work and relaxation. I learnt this the hard way. For many years in medical school, I thought it would be a good idea to study in bed. Please don't do this. Having set purposes for different areas makes it so much easier for your brain to switch between work mode and relaxation mode. Creating an environment that's conducive for productivity when you have ADHD isn't just about your physical environment, it's equally as important to curate your digital environment. So using digital tools like X-Tiles to stay organised, Forest to keep you off your phone, and even using a website blocker if you find that when you're on your laptop, you can go on websites like YouTube or even maybe Netflix when you get a little bit bored. Another useful tip for curating your environment is a tip I might have taken a little bit too far, and that is to personalise your space to include elements that inspire focus or motivation. For example, every exam season I would change my laptop background and my phone background to something that would encourage me to study, which most years was a plain blue background that said "Studying sucks less than failing," and it was actually quite effective. How I took this tip a little bit too far is I ended up getting a quote from Legally Blonde tattooed on my arm. So just there, it says "What like it's hard," which is an infamous quote from Elle Woods, and the reason that was there is when I was failing my exams when I was 17 and 18, if I'm being completely honest, I think I got pretty depressed, and every day I would come home and, like a little bit of a comfort blanket, I'd put on the YouTube recording of Legally Blonde the musical and lie in bed and quite frankly feel shit about myself. The saying "what like it's hard" just represented in a little bit of a comical way all these really hard things that I have done, which the girl who used to watch Legally Blonde back because she was too depressed to get out of bed would have never thought was possible, and I showed myself I was capable of doing hard things. So just before I sat my 4th year exams, I got this tattooed on my arm so that every single time I was struggling with my studying, I could look down at my arm and remember all the hard things I have done and I am capable of doing. As I said, I did take that one a little bit far. You can just change your laptop and phone screensaver. Section 5, the body-brain connection. I'm going to tell you something that I wish someone had told me sooner, because it took me way too long to work out for myself. What you want and what you need are two very different things. You may want to curl up in a ball and watch Netflix all day because you're so overwhelmed with your to-do list, and I would love to tell you that that's going to help you be more productive, but that would be a lie. Exercise can increase dopamine levels, which may help alleviate symptoms of ADHD and improve cognitive function. As little as 10 minutes of yoga or cycling may improve impulsivity in people with ADHD, improving focus and task completion. Even quick exercise interventions like running or skipping or jumping for 5 to 10 minutes can have a positive effect on ADHD related behaviours. So keeping a skipping rope in your desk for every time you might hit a productivity roadblock might be a good idea. Some studies have shown that exercise may improve executive function, attention, motor skills and cognitive flexibility in people with ADHD, leading to improved productivity. If you do not currently have an exercise routine and you have ADHD, get started however that looks for you. Exercise can be team sports, exercise that makes you forget that you're exercising, yoga, gentle stretching, walking, cycling to work, getting a standing desk, suggesting walking meetings instead of sat down meetings. Absolutely anything you find enjoyable and can help you sustain a daily movement habit that will likely have the greatest effect on your ADHD symptoms than anything other than medication. Section 6, demystifying mindfulness. A study with adult and adolescent individuals with ADHD who attended a 2-month mindfulness course showed significant improvements in ADHD symptoms and performance. And another study even found that a single meditation session can positively affect psychology in individuals with ADHD. Mindfulness can improve productivity in people with ADHD in a variety of ways. Number 1, improved attention and focus. Mindfulness trains the brain to sustain attention for a long period of time. 2, reduce stress and anxiety, because we know that high levels of stress can make symptoms of ADHD worse. 3, enhanced executive functioning. Mindfulness can help you be more organised, better with time, and better at planning. And finally, mindfulness can even improve your working memory. But if you are terrified by the concept of mindfulness because it has been completely overcomplicated by social media, then let me introduce you to 5 simple mindfulness activities that anyone can implement into their daily life. Number 1, breathing awareness. You're literally just going to sit and focus on your inhale and exhale for a couple of minutes. Number 2, body scans. This is literally where you just gradually pay attention to different areas of your body, noticing how each area feels. 3, mindful walking. Just take yourself out for a trot and be present, focusing on each step. 4, the 5 senses exercise. Potentially one of my favourites. Pause and notice 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. Finally, mindful eating. The next time you have a snack, eat it slowly, paying attention to the taste, texture, and smell. It's literally that simple to practice mindfulness for short bursts of time every single day to reduce your ADHD symptoms and improve productivity. Now you know how to be productive with ADHD, but you might be a student and want to know the study methods that I used to graduate medical school and get my dream job as a doctor in London. If so, I will link that video here, and there will be a video specifically recommended just for you based on what you're interested in just below. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I read all your comments and I love to see suggestions for new videos. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you in the next video.